vandalize my heart. We apologize. Legend just got off of listening to Vandalize from One OK Rock. And apparently he's actually a fan of them now. This is what happens when you put a good rock song to Sonic. He will start listening to it non-stop. What have you done, Sega? What have you done? Alright, episode 20. Princess Sally woke up as the dawn's rays hit her face. She sat up, stretched, and looked around. Another day, another search, she thought, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. She noticed she was holding her pillow again and smiled. I'd rather be holding Sonic, she thought. Trixie knows what you want to say. So you want to say, she also got away from that wet spot on her pillow. You want to say it. You want to say it so bad. But Trixie warns you. You do. And she will hit you with a taser! Not saying it. Not saying it. She reached over to the table near her bed and opened up Nicole. Nicole, state agenda for today. Loading, Sally, Nicole said. 3 items on the agenda for today. First, you have a meeting with Sir Charles regarding more possible emerald cases in Robotropolis. Second, Sandra has asked to meet with you. Says when does she request that one? Since it's an official matter that may affect the race, Sandra said sleepily, I need your permission to go ahead. We'll talk about it later, Sally said, intrigued. What's the third thing, Nicole? A reminder that your 18th birthday is in 2 days, Nicole replied. I'm now seeing Nicole with a little birthday hat in between her ears, a little birthday girl outfit, and pointing to the calendar. It is? Sandra asked, blinking the sleep from her eyes. Well, I got some planning to do. It's no big deal, Sally said, looking away. Really, Sandra, I don't want anyone to make a fuss over it. In fact, I'd rather that no one remember it at all. You're kidding, right, Sally? No, I am not, Sally said a little angrily. She got up and marched to the bathroom and slammed shut the door. Sandra looked at the door with one eyebrow arched. What's eating her? She wondered aloud. Oh well, maybe she just woke up wrong. Sally marched down to the power ring pool, her anger calming with each step. I shouldn't have snapped at Sandra, she thought. If she had been raised as a princess instead of a created one, she would know the problems that face me now. Still, as the only one here who knows of such things, I'm not going to let anyone else find out. She sat by the pool and waited for the water to begin swirling. And it had been a while since he had come personally to gather a power ring, and she had forgotten how calming it would be. The clearness of the water and relative quiet of the pool was like a balm to her troubled soul. Yeah, I know Sega's official stance on power rings is that it's just a game mechanic, they don't really exist. But I do like it when certain shows actually give the power rings a significance. Like this. And I still to this day think the power rings were the best presented in this show. And they've got probably some of the best representation of a video game mechanic out there. Sally let her thoughts wander as she waited. She fully expected to retake Mobius from Robotnik's grip by this time. And after the failed Doomsday project, it seemed she was on the verge of fulfilling her dream. But then Snively showed up with his roboticization gun and Metal Sonic, so she had to put out the celebrations. But nothing could have prepared her for the return to Robotnik and the race for the emeralds. Sally sighed. Her life was on hold while the race was on, in more ways than one. She didn't like the fact that she had to wait to marry Sonic, but she had long since accepted it. Please see my earlier anger. It was another aspect of her life that worried her, but one that would come to a head in just 2 short days. Sally swept the thought from her mind as the pool began to swirl and froth. She watched the power ring emerge from the center of the pool and hovered a few inches above it. She calmly flew over to it and grabbed it and flew back to shore. As she landed, she heard approaching Sonic booms. Yo, Sal! Sonic called, springing into view. You got the power ring? Sally nodded. Cool, Sonic said, but noticed something. You okay? You look like something's wrong. Oh, it's nothing, Sonic, Sally said, a tempting smile. Sly crossed his arms and tapped his foot. I think I know you well enough to know when something's wrong, he said. Now talk. Sonic, nothing is wrong, Sally said miserably. If you're worried that I forgot about your birthday, it's not that, Sally said quickly, too quickly. Sonic nodded knowingly. Don't worry, he said, smiling. I got this whole big thing planned out. I just need to set... Sonic, I don't want anything planned for my birthday, Sally said. Say what? Sonic asked, confused. Usually you get upset if I don't remember your birthday. The one year I do, you don't want me to? What gives? Well, it's the race. I've got too much on my mind to think about a party right now. The only party I want is the one where we celebrate our victory. Sonic raised an eyebrow and looked at Sally. If you're sure, but I get the feeling you're holding something back here. No time to talk, Sonic, Sally said, standing up. Sandra wanted to talk with me about something. Got juice! She took off with a sonic boom, leaving Sonic standing there. Sonic shook his head. The only time she acts like me is when something big is on her mind. I gotta find out what. Sally took the long road back to her hut. By the time she got there, Sandra had already left. Where'd she go? Sally wondered aloud. Sandra will return in 20 minutes, Sally, Nicole said. Huh? Oh, thanks, Nicole. Sometimes I forgot to shut you off when I left. Perhaps you should install the same type of auto shut-off in me that Nadia has. I'll think about it. Right now, I need a long, hot shower. Darling! When Sally emerged from the bathroom, darn it! She saw Sandra sitting patiently on her bed. Feeling better, sis? Sandra asked. Yeah, Sally said, rubbing her hair out with a towel. Sorry I snapped at you this morning. It's okay, Sandra said, then stared at his head. Sally. Oh no, not again, Sally moaned, running to her mirror. But everything was fine, and she heard Sandra explode in laughter behind her. Sandra? Sorry, Sally, Sandra said, trying to stop laughing. It's just that you're getting paranoid lately. 'Cause I ain't quiet. I couldn't help myself. Yeah, Sally grumbled. So what did you want to talk to me about? I was just thinking. We can't attack Robotnik or do anything to weaken him, right? Sally nodded. We've checked for any loophole. This isn't a loophole. Sandra interrupted. Would we be weakening him if we took something from Robotropolis that he didn't know existed? I'm not following. I'm talking about the roboticization gun plans. There are still 3 plans out there we need. Robotnik obviously doesn't know anything about them, or he would have tried to build one. Why can't we just go get them? Sally thought about that. I suppose we could, she said slowly, but I have to check with Knuckles to make sure. Stay here. I'll go to Sanctuary and ask Tannis to contact him. You know, guys, I completely forgot the roboticization gun plot point! Sandra nodded and smiled. I'll start getting together a raiding party, in case he says yes. She took out a piece of paper and started writing down a list of names, crossing some off as she wrote others. Sally smiled and sped out of her hut, heading for Sanctuary. About halfway there, she stopped running and started flying. It had been a while since she flew, and she had not realized how much she missed it. She spent about a half hour losing herself in the ecstasy of flight before finally continuing on to Sanctuary. To her surprise, Tannis was sitting outside for her. I had a feeling you would be coming, he said. A day of reckoning for you is at hand. How did you know about that? Sally demanded as he landed. Did you forget I have your father here? He remembers many such things. Sally grumbled, and that was probably better off unheard anyway. This may come as a surprise for you, but I'm not here for that, she said slowly. I need to speak with Knuckles. Tannis' eyes widened slightly. Very well. Come inside and wait for him. Sally pressed past Tannis and sat down on one of the benches in the back. Tannis walked to the altar and kneeled down in front of it. I should have been so hard on him, Sally thought, her anger subsiding a little. He must have been told by my father. As if on cue, King Acorn sat down next to her. You're not here about your birthday, he whispered to her. Daddy, I really don't want to think about it, Sally whispered back. It won't make much of a difference if we lose the race, now will it? Oh, by the way, Sal, Bunny, guys, can I... make a comment about this whole delaying your life and delaying the marriage thing. I just thought about it, but you really don't need to, you know. I mean, worst case scenario, Robotnik gets the emeralds and wins. Well, you'll still be under Robotnik's rule, thus Robotnik now is all powerful. You could still win, probably. Better to still live your life and make do with the time you have. Even worst case scenario, none of you win, and chaos is unleashed, and we all hope and pray that Sonic can get the 7 emeralds himself, and Open Your Heart starts playing. But still, I think it's best to just live your life as much as you can. Do what you have to with what you got, and celebrate life. Because tomorrow may never come. Confidentially, you may also die during this. I'm just saying, if it's that important to you, you shouldn't be putting your life on hold. But that's just me. I still remember one of my favorite parts of last Season 1 is when they married off Firestorm and Killer Frost to that really nice song of The Dream Is Over. God, I love that moment. I love the first season of Flash. So, Daddy, I don't really want to think about it.
There is that. The king can see it, but the law is the law. You must deal with it sooner or later.
Oh, God. He's going from Nigel to Max.
I would hate to have you to default.
Surely, you're not thinking of...
Surely you're not thinking about defaulting the race to Robotnik.
Knuckles asked, appearing suddenly next to them. Sally was too angry to be shocked. What, no flash of light? She asked sarcastically.
Lotta's mostly for theatrical use, I suppose.
Knuckles admitted.
The summons I received seemed urgent, so I didn't bother with such a trivial thing.
Besides, Knuckles was busy fighting Enerjax with the Chaotix. Bet you were watching that fight, weren't you? Sally smirked. If you must know, I was speaking with my father about is not what I asked you here for.
I'll leave you two alone now,
the king said, standing.
I have something I wish to discuss with Thomas.
So, what did you ask me here for? Knuckles asked when the king had left. My sister has an interesting idea, Sally said, then went on to recount what Sandra had suggested for her. Is it possible? She said. Knuckles became very thoughtful as Sally talked. He looked up after a moment and sighed.
There's nothing against you getting those plans, but I have grave reservations about what Sandra plans to do with those plans.
I will give permission for you to attain those plans, but Sandra must talk to me before she puts them to any use. Understood, Sally said, looking somewhat relieved. At least this will give us something to do other than sit around.
Remember, Knuckles cautioned, you can't use any kind of distractions that will harm him or hinder him.
Yeah, thanks for the permission. Now I gotta get back later. Sally stood up and sped off, not so much as a goodbye.
She was becoming entirely too much like Sonic,
the king said, stepping into the main hall.
Eavesdropping, your majesty,
Knuckles asked with mock severity.
How unking-like? Oh, my daughter. So I was certain she would handle her problem with more maturity than she is showing. Actually, she's doing the right thing. I'm not talking about that, the king interrupted. There's something else that's troubling her. Maybe I should tell you about it, for it may certainly affect the race.
Sally half ran, half flew back to Knothole. She headed straight for her hut, almost forgetting to open the door before she burst through it. Sandra, she called. We're coming to a stop. There was no answer. Oh, that's right. She says she'd be talking to the others about it, and I have a pretty good idea where she is. She opened the door and sped off. Sally sped over to Tails' hut and opened the door. Tails, have you seen? Both Tails and Sandra jumped. Hang on, Sally, Tails said, blushing. Sandra quickly got off of Tails' lap. There are 3 explanations, and I don't want to think about them right now. Because Trixie will hurt me. Hi, sis, as he stammered. Sally arched one eyebrow. Am I interrupting something? No, what gives you that idea? Sandra asked, picking up her vest from the floor. I gotta go round up some others. Before you go, Sally said with a half smile, you might be interested to know that Knuckles gave us permission to get the plans. All right, Sandra exclaimed, giving Tails a big hug. But, Sally cautioned, before you actually use them for whatever you have planned, Knuckles wants to speak to you. Okay, Sandra? Sandra? But Sandra had stopped listening and was starting to kiss Tails again. Sally tapped her on the shoulder. Did you hear me? Sandra jumped again. Huh? Oh, sorry. Didn't know you're still here. I think you better get going, Sally said, forcefully separating the two. Yeah, Sandra said. She had the door a little shakily, bumping into things along the way. If I didn't know better, Sally mused. She then shook her head. Nah, they know better. She started to leave, but saw a glazed look on Tails' face that almost made her reconsider. She just shook her head again and left. Sally walked around the hole, trying to kill time until that night. She was lost deep in thought, something she'd been trying to avoid. She was almost knocked to her feet when she ran to Maurice.
Hey there, princess, he said, staying here. What's with the long face?
Sorry, Maurice, Sally said. It's been a long day. She looked at his face. You don't look so good either. Maurice sighed and looked at his hut. Patricia lay on a bed, her belly swollen and heavy with child.
It's been rough, Maurice admitted. Much rougher than she had Sonic. Hope everything's okay.
What did Rosie say?
She said that Patricia has to stay in bed this last month or risk losing the baby. She doesn't like it, and I'm at my wit's end and trying to keep her in bed.
All you have to do is ask. I'm sure the rest of us will be happy to help out.
Thank you, Patricia.
Maurice! Patricia yelled. Help me get up!
Here we go again, Maurice muttered. Excuse me.
He walked inside the hut, trying to calm Patricia down. Sally walked on, thinking about what it might be like to have a baby in that hole. Isabella was a cute child, but a baby would be something totally different. You'll give Sonic good practice for when we have children, she thought, smiling darkly. Guys, all I can think of right now when it makes this type of comment or the baby is I can't help but think of Voyager. And when one of the crew was getting pregnant and they started noticing that the 2 sets of crews were having relations. And Tuvok brought up a point that it would only be logical that over the course of their 75-year journey that there were going to be kids being born upon the spaceship. And that pretty soon there would be that type of scenario where it was going to happen. I realized that I refuse to believe that Isabella and Patricia were the only kids here. Again, this brings me back to what I was saying with Sonic and Sally's relationship. There are other animals and characters besides our main group of freedom fighters of Sonic, Sally, Rotor, Antoine, Bunny, and Tails. And now Sandra. There are probably also some adults there too. Unless it's only the teens. But if there are only teens there, then yeah. Hormones and all. Well, not every teenager is hormonal. There's still going to be the ones that are going to get curious and want to try the experiment. What I'm saying is I'm surprised that there aren't other little babies in Nahul that the others have to worry about. It's just one of those things that happens. That night, Sally, Sandra, Tails, and Sonic crept to the Robotropolis. I hope old Butnick doesn't spy on us down here, Sonic whispered. He might ruin everything if he gets curious as to why we're here. The others nodded. Maybe it would have been easier to come in solo on this, Sandra said. Sally and Tails immediately shook their heads. You don't go anywhere by yourself, Sandra, Sally whispered fiercely. If you came across an emerald, you'd be in real hot water trying to get out safely. I know. Can't blame a girl for trying, can you? We better split up, Tails suggested. We can try to hit 2 spots at the same time and jet back to Nahul. I'll go with Sandra. Think you two can control yourselves? Sally asked drunkenly. Both Sandra and Tails blushed fiercely. Maybe I'd better go with Sandra, she whispered, noticing the reactions with some concern. Come on, Sonic, Tails said, hurrying off. I think we need to talk, Sally said as the boys left. Can't this wait till we get home? Sandra asked, starting to rev up her legs. All right, but don't think I'm starting to forget about it, Sally. And for those of you who are trying to remember right now, our heroes have Earth and Water emeralds. Robotnik has the Fire, Wind, Lightning, Shadow. Yeah, Lightning, Shadow, Life, and Fire emeralds. Robotnik sat in his command chair, looking at the many flickering screens on the console before him. He knew Robotropolis like the back of his hand, but he still had not found places to hide the emeralds. And if he didn't soon he'll have Knuckles' ire, something he did not look forward to. As Robotnik was lost in thought, Metal Sonic surveyed the scanners in front of him. It was pointless, especially because Robotnik didn't have the emeralds hidden yet, but it was better than doing nothing. And doing nothing was better than listening to Robotnik rage about the hedgehog and his 2 emeralds to his 1 advantage. As if on cue, Blitz appeared on his radar screen, all moving at high speed. Interesting, Metal Sonic thought. The Freedom Fighters must be searching for an emerald. Too bad. But then he noticed they were not moving in search pattern, but heading directly towards a known goal. Metal Sonic smiled. They're after the plans, he realized. Interesting loophole. Well, I'm not about to help old fat boy. Anything that isn't in my job description. What are you muttering about? Robotnik asked suddenly. But technically, since those emeralds are gone, this means Robotnik only has 1. Fire emerald. Sonic and the others have Earth and Water. Robotnik has to hide the Life, Shadow, and Lightning emeralds. Just wishing there was something else to do, Metal Sonic replied tiredly. He switched to monitor views, essentially performing his duties. In reality, he kept switching out the cameras that were about to show the Freedom Fighters. Sally didn't forget she had to speak with Sandra. Unfortunately, by the time he got back to Knotholes, he was dead tired. She was so used to getting into fights with Robotropolis that her body was primed for it the whole time she was there. When nothing happened and the adrenaline faded, she was just left feeling extremely tired. After she reached her hut, she just plopped down on her bed and fell asleep. The next morning, Sally woke up feeling very refreshed. She took on a quick shower and headed out, not even bothering to check the day's list on Nook Hole. It was late in the morning, later than she usually woke up. Hope I'm not late for my wrestling lesson, she thought. When she got to the ring, she found Tails and Sandra in the ring, with Sonic and Antoine watching from the outside. Bunny was referee as always, and Sandra seemed to be wearing Tails down. A series of forearms uppercuts had pushed Tails against the back ropes. He seemed dazed. Sandra tried an Irish whip, but Tails reversed it, caught her with a quick leg lariat. Sandra went down hard, grabbing her throat. Tails picked her up, only to throw her back down with a snapmare. He leaned against the ropes, ran over to Sandra to the other side, jumped in the middle rope and moonsaulted on Sandra. Bunny dropped for the count as Tails took the leg. 1, 2, Sandra reached up and raked Tails' eyes before the 3 count, causing him to pull off her. Stay out the ass, Sandra, Bunny cautioned. Sandra pushed Bunny aside and headed for Tails. Tails ducked low and grabbed both of Sandra's legs, tackling her down. Sandra tried to kick Tails off, but he held fast. Tails flipped over Sandra, holding the legs. Sandra freed her legs and bridged up, forcing Tails up with her. She turned him over and bent him over, hugging both arms behind his back. Sandra tried to lift Tails up and over, but Tails tried to kick down his legs. Instead, he straightened up with Sandra upside down on his back. He got his balance and just sat down, trying to drive Sandra's head to the mats. But Sandra had let go of his arms, slid down in front of him until she ended up sitting on his lap. She pushed him down and hooked his legs with her own. Bunny dropped down to the count. 1, 2, 3. Bunny jumped up and called for the bell. She turned back to raise Sandra's hand, but saw Sandra had not let Tails go yet. Hello, Sandra. Get off of him, she said playfully, pulling at Sandra. But Sandra evidently had no intentions of getting up. From the looks of it, Tails didn't want her to either. Uh-oh, Sally muttered, sliding into the ring to help Bunny pull them apart. It took both of them, plus Sonic and Antoine, to get them apart. When they did, both of them had slightly glazed looks in their eyes. Looks the others four knew all too well. If anyone needs us, Sally said, picking up Sandra over her shoulder, we'll be in our hot hut, talking. I better talk to Tails, Sonic said, picking him up, much like Sally had Sandra. Both toosed off, heading in the opposite directions. Bunny and Antoine looked at each other. I'm thinking they are forgetting the talk we had when Lydia first showed up, Antoine said. I don't know if they forgot, Sugar Twine. Bunny said thoughtfully. I just think something Sally said is coming true. You mean about their buddies deciding for them? Bunny nodded. I hope they can get a handle on it. I know I've had a hard time controlling it while I'm awake, much less when I'm asleep. Antoine just looked at Bunny. Bunny, realizing that she better let it slip, turned a very bright pink from head to toe. I'll better be going now, she said, stumbling through the ropes and into the floor. Antoine stood in the corner of the ring, watching Bunny scampered off. I am thinking she needs a cuchara, he thought. Come to think of it, so do I, he calmly walked out of the ring into his hut. Now, you see, Bunny wanting Antoine, that I can see. Sally deposited Sandra on her bed and sat down next to her. I warned you, she said, sitting Sandra up. Huh? Sandra asked, shaking her head. What happened? Last thing I remember, I was in the ring about to pan tails, and then... Her voice faded out as her eyes stared off in the distance. Snap out of it, Sally said, shaking her sister. Remember what we talked about? I know, Sandra said angrily. You think I don't know? Hi, what's all that yelling about? Lydia asked, poking her head inside a window. Sandra's body just kicked into overdrive, Sally said, crossing her arms over her chest. Sally! Sandra screamed. Why does you blab it all to knothole? Easy, you two, Lydia said, rustling between the two of them. Look, you both need to calm down before this goes too far. She's the one that needs a dip in the pool, Sally said. Me, I can handle it. What's the big deal, anyway? Sandra asked. It's not like I've got the same things that's holding me back as you do. You like to think so, Sally said. You don't know the half of it. I know I'm a princess, but it's not like I'm the one who's going to be queen. I don't know what's been bugging you lately, but you've been going nuts since Nicole reminded you of your birthday tomorrow. It's tomorrow? Lydia asked. Wait a minute. You're going to be 18, aren't you? By the almighty, I should have realized. Damn, Sally swore. Why did you have to remember that? Remember what? Sandra asked, her confused. Somebody better start talking. I don't know how much she's told you about the coronation, Lydia said. Just as the ceremony where she'll become queen. That's true, but it's not the whole truth. How so? Simply put, Sandra, the laws of Mobius state that all heirs to the throne must assume the throne by their 18th birthday. So the ceremony's tomorrow, so what? It's not that simple, Sally said reluctantly. Fact is, Robotnik's the one in power. We all know he just won't give it up. And if I cannot truly ascend the throne by tomorrow, I lose my chance to be queen. Say what? So then what happens? Ordinarily, it would have passed to one of my cousins, whoever was either in power or about to attain it. But since you're here now, you'll become the first in line to the throne. Sandra looked like she had just been struck. You mean, she whispered. Sally nodded. As of tomorrow, you'll truly be the Princess of Mobius. Sandra laid back suddenly. That's a lot to deal with right now, she said. Are you going to tell me? You know, I'll point this out here because I don't think I'm ever going to have a chance to discuss it, but this is one of those things where you have to laugh at one of the Nostalgia Cranks' comments because it comes off as him not realizing the problems here. Now, while not claiming queendom is a perfectly funny complaint when it comes to, say, Captain N, because Captain N sucks, But when he's making fun of Sally for this, you gotta remember, Sally can't, quote unquote, queen it up, bitch. Because she really can't. She's just a freedom fighter right now. There's nobody to coordinate her. There's nobody to make her queen. Even if she were to call herself Queen Sally, it would just be a title. It would have no precedence. It would have no power. It would mean nothing. And you can't even say, oh, well, it's just being a princess because it's pretty and she has no authority. Ha 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 ha. No, we see in the show, Sally has plenty of authority and has plenty of responsibility and has plenty of stuff to do. So, no, you can't even say that with a straight face. But that's just it. Sometimes when a ruler is not there, there are other reasons for why a princess would be calling herself a princess if there's no king or queen. For instance, Sally can call herself princess all the time because, while she still has a whole bunch of authority and responsibilities, and she does. 1. King Acorn's still there. He is still alive. It would be disrespectful to him, even though I don't like him. 2. Robotnik is still in power. She can't really call herself a queen when somebody else is in the throne. Or, like, Princess Celestia. We don't know the whereabouts of her parents. They might still be alive for all we know, or they might still be around. Or Celestia just might not see herself as a queen. There are other reasons than just you're calling yourself a princess because it's pretty. You could be also calling yourself a princess because you don't feel worthy of the queen title. That's what Sally's doing. As for Peach, I'm still positive that King Mushroom is still alive. We just don't see him. This has been an interesting conversation about princessdom. Thank you, and good night. It's not like we could do anything about it. Knuckles has made it clear nothing can interfere with the race. Not even something like this. Well, did you tell him about it? Well, no. But the law can't be broken. Who says? How do you know? Nothing's written in stone, especially these days. She does have a point, Lydia said. Back when Mobius was racked by war, I'm sure something was done to prevent the lion from dying. We have no way of knowing that, Sally said. Even if such a thing exists, the proof is Robotropolis. You know Robotnik couldn't care less about our problems. What about computers? I'm certain at least one of them has made a record of all the laws that's ever made. It's worth a shot. Well, you guys could always dismiss the monarchy and make a democratic nation. I mean, King Nigel, as nice as he is in the Archie comics post-reboot, has kind of shown what happens when you put all the power in one man. Robotnik came in and, well... From her boot, and opened up as Sandra did the same with Nadia and Lydia with Samantha. Nicole, any laws dealing with coordination during times of war? Searching, Sally. Nicole said. No entries meaning required data. Samantha can't come up with anything either, Lydia said. Neither can Nadia, Sandra said, sighing. Wait a minute, what's this? What? Sally and Lydia asked together. If anyone should have a record about this, Donovan would, Nadia said. I'm taking it upon myself to contact him about it. Lydia shook her head. I still don't know how she does that, she muttered. Actually, Nadia, let me talk to him, Sandra said. Donovan says computer console in the main base. Access possible like a location Kravinoff, or the final Emerald. Kravinoff wherever. Emerald wherever you didn't look like. His computer responded. Just click up the data, Donovan said calmly, where you get some sleep. Donovan shook off his shades and put it on his hands. Just bring up the map highlighting where I haven't looked yet, he said slowly, emphasizing each word, and no more attitude. Excuse me, Mr. Cranky, the computer said, but it looks like you'll have to wait. You have an incoming call from Sandra. Donovan smirked.
Tell her to call me later. Message relayed, but now Nadia's asking to speak to you. Donovan's eyes brightened. Well, what are you waiting there for? Patch her through!
Hey, Squirrel Boy, Nadia said cheerfully. Got a minute?
I've got an eternity for you. What's that you got in your mind?
Before Nadia could respond, Donovan's computer snickered.
Keep it up, and you'll be dealing with a nasty virus from me,
Donovan said in place of Nadia. I wonder how you like to have your voice about 4 octaves higher.
I'll be looking for the map data now, the computer said quickly.
Okay, Donovan said, smiling. Anyway, you were saying? We got a problem here, Nadia said.
Nadia, you know I can't help with the race, Donovan began.
I know, but this is not about the race.
Okay, I'll bite. Then what?
Sally's 18th birthday is tomorrow.
Donovan winced. Ouch. Let me guess. She's not ready to claim the throne yet. So she's about to lose her right to it. Am I close?
On the nose. None of the computers here have records of any law that might deal with this. Think you would?
Computer, process Nadia's request. Give it top priority. Searching. His computer said, Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I hate uh-oh. What's wrong? Remember when you told me to clear out space to help try and track Kraven off? Yeah. And you said to clear out data I figured I would not need to use ever again? Yeah. I erased all history files dating past 50 years. Damn! Looks like I'll have to do this the hard way. I'll get back to you, Nadia. Quick! To the Internet Archive!
You have only until sundown tomorrow, Nadia cautioned.
I know. I'll get back to you before then.
Take care, Donovan, Nadia said softly, then whispered, My love.
I love you too, he said, smiling. The Dean. Next in Terminator, boy, the computer said. How much you like your circuits crossed? Don't you have somewhere to go? You have only until sundown tomorrow.
Donovan sighed and pushed away from the console. He walked up the door and sniffed the Liam air.
One, activate, he said.
His rocket boost propelled him up into the south, heading for a distant and secluded area of Mobius. Donovan's working on it, Nadia reported, but you may not come with anything in time. Sally sighed. I guess it's time to face the music, huh? She asked. Sandra nodded. You couldn't keep this in forever, you know. I round up everyone so you could do this in one shot. And I'll go with you, Lydia said, smiling. Just want to make sure you don't forget what it is you're supposed to be doing. Sandra smirked, but then looked into Lydia's face. Yeah, I guess I could use the help. Grab on! Sally hardly even knows when they left. In all the time we've been fighting, I've never kept something like this from them, she thought. I wonder how they'll react.
Say what?
Syke yelled when Sally finished talking. You weren't even going to tell me about this? I just thought that if I didn't think about it, it would go away, Sally said lamely. I'm assuming that never works, Teal said. I know, but...
Nothing, Sally girl, Bunny interrupted. We're supposed to be the best friends. You didn't say one word to me either.
I may not be the closest enemy to you, Antoine said, but I thought you would have consulted me, because I do know more about these things than most. If it hadn't been for me overhearing her and Sandra argue, we would never have found out, Lydia said. Sandra looked over at Sally. Guys, she said softly.
And everyone says I act immature, Dulcie said.
Guys,
Sandra said a little louder. I wouldn't say she was immature, Dulcie, Roar said. Just irrational.
Sandra formed a crystal and threw it up in the air and covered her eyes. A second later, the crystal exploded in a burst of light. Everyone stopped arguing as they were momentarily blinded. Do I have everyone's attention now? Sandra asked. Good. I suggest you take a look at my sister. Everyone looked at Sally, who was sunk to her knees. Tears ran freely from her eyes as he made no attempt to hide them or wiped away. One by one, they all looked down and had ashamed of themselves. Sally was the first to react. He walked over to Sally and placed a hand on her shoulder. Sally shook away. Just leave me alone, she said. But Sal, Sally began. Leave! They all looked at Sandra. She nodded and wandered away slowly. I'm here if you need me, sis, Sandra said softly. Leave me with the others. Sally sat there, alone with her emotions. She felt bad for snapping at Sonic, but also angry they had not understood. There were a bunch of other emotions she couldn't sort out, She got a headache for trying. Eventually she slipped into sleep, finding solace from her thoughts only there. Donovan looked up from a large book. I can't believe how long this is taking, he muttered, and looked at the many rows of shelves filled with books like the one in front of him. Then again, yes I can. Donovan sighed and rubbed his eyes. Gotta keep at this, even though I've been at it for a few hours now. I know it's here, somewhere. He lowered his eyes back to the book and resumed reading. Sally opened her eyes as a ray of sunshine hit her face. She tried to sit up, but found she was already sitting. She tried to stretch, but she turned her head and saw she was sitting on Sonic's lap. Sonic? Morning, he whispered. What are you doing here? I just figured you needed someone to hold you, he said. Not that this is going to become a habit again. I meant what I said. I know, and thanks. I guess I did need this. She kissed him gently on the cheek. Sonic kissed her back and stood up, still holding her. And I think there's something else you need, he said, smiling. Sally looked around, saw all the knotholes surrounding them. Happy birthday, Sally! They yelled. Sally smiled. Thanks, everyone, she said softly. Like we wouldn't have done this anyway, Sandra said. You needed us cheering up, and I think a party is just what the doctor ordered. Oh, thanks, Pinky. You're welcome! Sally smiled again, and let herself be drawn into the celebration. But only somewhere in the back of her mind, a small voice warned her that this was only delaying the inevitable. Donovan just finished reading another book and slammed it shut. I'm getting nowhere, and it's getting there fast, he said, frustrated. He got up and took down his computer care. Computer, how much time do I have left? He asked. 4 more hours, his computer replied, including time to get to Knothole. You better hurry. I'm not worried about that. You can teleport to me, Knothole, as soon as I find what I'm looking for. First, you must find a book with the information and get out of there. Point taken. Donovan clicked off his communicator, got up and sighed. Someone once told me that the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. Sorry. When you are looking for something, chances are you won't find it. He walked over to a very large shelf. However, he continued, if you are looking for something else, you'll find what you were originally looking for. That's so accurate, it hurts. He looked at the shelf. So let me look for something else. He hit the shelf, about 100 books fell on him. Look at this pile, he muttered. Knuckles paced moodily around the emerald chamber. Talk about rotten timing, he thought. I had no idea that the race would alter the ruling of Mobius so. And yet I always wondered why Robotnik insisted on waiting a year before the race began. I guess he thought that even if he lost, he gained a small measure of victory by destroying the House of Acorn. Even with Sandra here, I foresee many difficulties and challenges to her rules, if she does indeed become queen. Well, you know, guys, with everybody and their mother roboticized, literally, who's there to enforce this rule? I mean, technically, there's nobody here to say yes. I mean, nobody was really, here to say no. Knuckles sighed and assumed a meditative position. If my emeralds were still here, I could use one of them to see exactly how the House of Acorn survived wars before. Well, I know there were many. Then a thought occurred to him. Why couldn't I? There's still one emerald out there which no one knows the location of. It would be simple to retrieve it, replace it without anyone knowing. He stood and started chanting in a forgotten language. Yes! Donovan exclaimed, his hand emerging from a pile of books holding a small book. I knew that would work! He pressed the rest of the books off of him and stood. He flipped through the book rapidly, making sure it held the information he needed. Here you go, Coordinations and Discoveries. Thank you. Where did you find it? It was under sea. Thank you again, Pinkie Pie. Satisfied, he closed the book and reached for his communicator. But it wasn't in his pocket. He looked back towards the pile and noticed a wire sticking out from underneath. Great, he said sarcastically. Looking at the book and seeing the crushed remains of his communicator. Well, at least I got my teleporter. He reached into another pocket, but it was empty.
That's the last time I rush out of my base without being properly prepared, he muttered.
He went to the building and activated his rocket boots.
I just hope these things have enough energy to get me to the knothole.
Sally smiled as he cut her birthday cake, a special present from Rosie. This has been great, she said, taking the first bite as was the custom. She looked over the presents everyone had given her. You don't know how much this means to me. Oh, I likely do, Bunny said. I just wonder if you know how much you mean to us. I do, but it didn't hurt to be reminded. She looked to the western sky and sighed. The sun will set soon. She began. Hey, Sandra said sharply, none of that. We'll figure everything out tomorrow. For right now, you just concentrate on having fun. Okay, things will just happen as they happen. Or they will happen better than you think, Knuckles said, walking out what seemed to be dead air. Come to join the festivities, Guardian? Sally asked.
If I'm allowed. But first, I have a present for you. It seems that...
Knuckles was cut off by a loud explosion that sounded overhead. Look out below! Donovan yelled, crashing to the ground. You know, somehow this feels very Twilight. I can't help but laugh. Sandra ran over and helped him up. Are you okay? She asked worriedly. Nadia beaming furiously. Miles, open her up for me, Sandra said, struggling to support Donovan. Tails did so as Antoine helped Sandra. Donovan, Nadia said as he was open. Are you okay? What happened? Are you injured?
I hate setting my boots on full power,
Donovan said as Nadia started to babble.
I'm okay, Nadia. I just need to hurry to get Sally's present here before sundown.
What present, Donovan? Sally asked. Donovan held his hands, intending to give Sally the book, but his hands were empty. He looked around for it, but did not see it. Then on a gut feeling, he looked up. The book smashed into his face as he saw it.
This present!
He said as the book slipped off his face.
I am not having a good day.
Sally picked up the book and looked at it. I'm not sure I understand.
Turn to page 124. You'll understand.
And lo, did Vax proceed to lay Keyleth down into bed and start taking off her...
Oh, I'm sorry, that's my Fox Machina fanfiction. Here, you look at this book.
Sally turned to the page Donovan had indicated and started to read. Let it be known that all heirs to the throne of House Acorn must take their rightful place by sundown on their 18th birthday or forfeit their next heir in line.
Keep reading, Donovan said, cutting off Sally's question before it got started.
Sally shrugged and did so. However, in the event that the House of Acorn has been uprooted from power by war or a coup d'etat, said heir shall have wanted to reclaim the throne by whatever means possible. If the heir is unable to, then the events and war rule applies. If the heir is successful, the coronation must take place within a week, else the rule still applies. Sally looked up, and her tears in her eyes. Donovan, this is the best present I ever received. She rushed over to him and planted a kiss of gratitude on his cheek. Donovan just looked at Sally in a mixture of shock, surprise, and wonder. At the same time, a strange growling came from Nadia, causing Tails to drop her. All eyes turned to Nadia. And you see any self-shutdown routine, she said quickly. Donovan pushed away from Sandra and Antoine, able to stand on his own.
Yeah,
he said. He walked over to Nadia and picked her up.
Tell Nadia we need to talk,
he said, and hiding her to Sandra. He then turned and walked away. You're welcome to stay, Sally called. We really have something to celebrate now.
Thanks all the same, but I just want to get home and get this day over with before something else happens.
Donovan walked slowly into the great forest. It disappeared from sight. What is it you're going to say, Knuckles? Sally asked, turning back to him.
Oh, nothing of importance.
Anything I had to say has already been said, but I do hope the gift to stay is also extended to me. What? You mean socialize with us?
Sally asked. Sonic in places Sonic asked.
If I choose. But understand, this doesn't mean I favor your side in any way. Of course, Sally said, smiling, and celebrate they did.
I just like the idea that Knuckles is supporting them and rooting for them. He just won't admit it.
And actually, that would kind of be in character.